She was 11 years old, walking home from school like any other day, and in broad daylight, Jaycee Dugard vanished without a trace. For the next 18 years, the world thought she was gone for good. This episode tells the real story of how she survived and what it really means to come back from 18 years of captivity. Welcome to Surviving the Unthinkable, the show where we cover real crime stories with one focus, the survivor, not the criminal. Today, we're talking about one of the most shocking long-term kidnappings in modern U.S., the case of Jaycee Dugard. On the 10th of June, 1991, 11-year-old Jaycee disappeared near her home in South Lake Tahoe, California. She wasn't just gone for days. She was gone for 18 years. This episode includes themes of kidnapping, captivity, and sexual abuse. I'll describe the facts, but I'll avoid graphic details out of respect for survivors. If that's hard for you, feel free to pause, skip, or come back later. Before the 10th of June, 1991, Jaycee Dugard was just a normal kid. She was 11 years old, living in a quiet community in the Sierra Nevada foothills, close to Lake Tahoe. By most accounts, she was shy, smart, and a good student. She liked to ride her bike, hang out with friends, and spend time with her family. On the day she disappeared, she was walking home from school with her younger sister and a friend. It was a normal, unremarkable afternoon. Then Jaycee turned onto the street toward her grandmother's house, while the other girls went a different way. That small split in the road would change everything. Minutes later, a car pulled in front of her, and a couple claiming to have a problem with their car approached her. By the time her family and police realized she was missing, she was already gone. In the first hours, the search was frantic. Flyers, volunteers, local news coverage, everyone assumed she would be found soon. But days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, months into years. For the public, Jaycee became a missing persons case, a tragedy that never got solved. For Jaycee, it was the beginning of a nightmare that lasted 18 years. Jaycee was taken by a man named Phillip Garrido and his wife Nancy, who transported her to their property in Antioch, California, hundreds of miles away. From the outside, that house looked like any other suburban home. But behind the garage, in a hidden area, Jaycee was kept locked away. She was held in a small, hidden compound, a shed, a tent, and a series of small, crowded living spaces. She was completely cut off from the world. Communication was forbidden. Contact with family was erased. Time became a blur. During those first weeks and months, Jaycee's biggest fear was that nobody was still looking for her. The world had moved on. She hadn't. For years, she had no idea if her parents were searching, if police were still involved, or if anyone even remembered her name. I want you to pause here for a moment and imagine that feeling, being taken so young, isolated so completely, and suspecting that the outside world has given up on you. That psychological weight, combined with the daily abuse and control, was the reality of her life. Survival in that environment wasn't about dramatic escapes. It was about sheer endurance. It was about learning to move when told to stay quiet and to adapt to a schedule dictated by someone else. Jaycee remained alive by doing three things, even if she never used those words herself. She observed, she adapted, and she waited. She watched her captors' routines. She learned their moods. She noted what triggered anger and what calmed them. She filed away details like puzzle pieces, unsure if she would ever get a chance to use them. For years, authorities had no idea Jaycee was still alive, and in one of the most haunting parts of the story, Jaycee and her daughters were even seen in public at one point, yet no one realized who she was. She was right there, hidden in plain sight, but still invisible to the world. Imagine the fear of that moment, wanting help, wanting someone to notice, but knowing how dangerous it could be to say the wrong thing. Those 18 years were marked by fear, trauma, and survival. But even through all of it, Jaycee never stopped observing. She remembered details, patterns, dates, and moments quietly holding on to the truth. And in the end, those memories would matter far more than anyone could have imagined. Everything changed in 2009. Phillip Garrido, paranoid and perhaps emboldened by years of successful concealment, made a strange move. He approached a local parole officer to tell them about some visions he'd been having. That interaction set off a chain of events. Law enforcement began investigating his behavior, eventually noticing oddities in the way he talked about children living with him. On the 26th of August 2009, officers obtained a search warrant for Garrido's property in Antioch, California. They arrived at the house and discovered Jaycee and her 2 daughters living in the hidden compound behind the garage. She was 29 years old, but she was still the same girl taken at 11, except now she carried 18 years of trauma, resilience, and survival in her body and mind. When officers realized who she was, they had to confirm it. She hadn't even seen her own name in the news for decades. In that moment, the world that had thought she was gone suddenly had her back. After the rescue, Jaycee, her daughters, and her family were reunited. The first months were overwhelming. The world had moved on. She had missed high school, college, weddings, funerals, and the quiet, ordinary moments most people take for granted. Rebuilding life after 18 years of captivity wasn't a simple process. It involved trauma, adjustment, and learning to trust again. Jaycee later wrote a memoir, A Stolen Life, and has spoken publicly about her experience, not to glorify her kidnapper, but to reclaim her voice and her story. Her survival is about more than one day of rescue. It's about choosing to keep living, rebuilding identity, and refusing to be defined only by what was taken from her. What can we learn from Jaycee Dugard's story without ever blaming her for what happened to her? First, the length of her kidnapping shows how vulnerable children can be when predators operate quietly. Second, survival isn't always a dramatic escape. It's often quiet endurance, patience, and adaptation. Third, healing after such trauma is non-linear, and it's okay to need time, therapy, and support. Fourth, survivors can reclaim their stories. They can choose to speak, to write, to advocate, and to live beyond the crime. Jaycee's case is not just about a man who kidnapped her. It's about a girl who never stopped existing inside herself, even when the world forgot her name. If this story affected you, please know you're not alone. For some listeners, hearing something this intense can bring up memories, fears, or anxiety. If you feel overwhelmed, it's okay to pause, step away, or talk to someone you trust. If you're in immediate danger, contact your local emergency number. Thank you for watching Surviving the Unthinkable. If you want more true crime episodes told with a survivor-focused lens, episodes that honor the victim more than the criminal, please like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It helps the channel grow and allows more people to hear stories that matter. Share this episode with someone who might benefit from hearing about resilience, survival, and healing. I'm your host, and I'll see you in the next episode.